Welcome back to the Nethercast, the big episode 50. I am Black Cyborg, joined as always by
Shad. Thanks for remembering.
temporary username, Shadaloo, and Razor's Edge. And joined by a special guest,
My name's Shad now.
Sir Redman. For the very first time he's joining
It is
us,
Shad.
at least here on the Nethercast. Shad, Lou, whatever. Alright. So, Redman, how you doing?
Doing all right.
Good.
How are you?
It's good to do alright. I'm getting sent things.
It's your first time on Nethercasts. We've had you before on other things, but this is the first Nethercast you've done.
We'll be gentle as we go into that long good night. Anyways, okay. So we have Redman on here, actually, because one, he's just a cool dude, and two, because he's played the beta, so we wanted to get thoughts from somebody that's gotten their hands on it. So we're going to go into it. We're going to discuss it. We're going to give some impressions. I imagine Temp has watched all the streams, have you?
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mostly reading, honestly. I've been reading the analysis and stuff.
Sure. All right. Well, cool. We'll get into that, but first, make sure you like us, subscribe, follow, leave us that 5-star review. What other things?
Video response?
Video. Do they still do video responses on YouTube?
I don't know, do they?
I don't think so.
Aware,
I don't think
thought
that's a
maybe.
thing anymore.
Follow us on Instagram.
Make sure you keep checking for us.
Check our MySpace.
You can join, actually, a real thing that exists, except for all those other things, is the closed Facebook group. It's not the page. You can like the Nethercast page on Facebook, but if you want to interact with us and discuss with us, as well as all the other listeners in our own little private forum engagement, so to speak, we have a closed Facebook group. If you just try and join that, I'll go ahead and approve you, and that way we keep it a little bit more closed off, so not just anybody randomly is joining it. So just go ahead and do that. Ask to join, we'll approve you, and we have a nice little community of about 50 people that post regularly there, so that's pretty cool. Come join us and discuss the game with us and all the news bits as they come out. So there is that. But let's get into the actual stream here before we keep promoting and shilling our stuff. So the stream, key things that we learned, we'll kind of go one by one here, but the first off is that the initial roster... Are you done? Are you done wrestling your microphone?
Yes.
Good.
I am.
It's like Django's first time. You remember Django's first time and he has phones going off? Oh my gosh.
Man, I remember the first time I wrestled my microphone.
At least it's not the guy that was peeing in the bucket.
Just didn't know what to expect. Had no sense of direction. It just sort of happened. I was a very, very young man. And, yeah.
All right.
Just keep an open space.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's dive right into this then. And like I said, the initial roster apparently for Injustice 2 is going to be larger than any initial roster for any NRS game. So that would cover MK9, MKX, as well as Injustice 1. So if you count Kratos, that would be 28 in MK9, which I feel you should count Kratos. So that would give us at least a starting roster of 29 characters. So it gives a little bit more credence to the 31 roster spots on the website, which could have just been a random number placeholder that they put in there. So we don't really have that to truly go by. But even if we get 29, that's pretty damn good in my opinion. Feel free to jump in.
29. Well, I was going to say that. So, and as far as the leak list goes, that confirmed 29 characters. Is that right?
I don't know.
Well, let me double check.
Okay, well, this
So it's
isn't good
13
I'll
reveals.
perform a
podcasting.
small interpretive dance to entertain our audience during this lull in the action.
I might be counting names. I'm sorry.
All
One
right,
second.
so let's just continue rolling until we get that definitive answer. But yeah, so at the very least, we're getting 28 if they don't count Kratos. So that's already within what I was expecting. I was expecting around 28 to 30. Is what I was hoping for. So the fact that we're at least getting 28 itself is really cool. If we get 29, even better. So I'm already stoked for that, even if it is just 29. But if we get 31, to me, that's tremendous. That's more than I would have ever even expected.
I'm
Yes,
inclined to believe that the number of slots on the website isn't just a placeholder, that it is going to be 31.
Okay.
I just wonder if Darkseid will be one.
Yeah,
of
I would
those.
imagine. Yeah, I would imagine Darkseid would be part of the 31.
I don't see that changing from the Goro DLC shtick from MKX.
Yeah,
I mean, this is just sort of like the natural way that things go when you're advancing in games across a platform generation. You know,
yeah,
like think of the PS2 era of games, Deadly Alliance to Armageddon. Roster just kept on getting bigger and bigger, obviously. So I see no reason to doubt that things won't be the same this time through.
sure. All right, so we have the initial roster there. One important fact about the initial roster is it said the main roster is unlikely to feature any DLC characters from Injustice 1. So that already rules out. I mean, it's unlikely. He didn't say that they absolutely for sure won't make it, but he said it's unlikely. So that means at most we're maybe getting one of them, and that in itself is unlikely. But that already crosses out Martian Manhunter, Zatanna, Lobo, Batgirl, Zod, Scorpion, and who am I forgetting? I forget anybody? That's 6.
I think that was it.
Okay, so yeah, we got 6
And-
characters. That makes sense.
And again, we kind of have a precedent for that. He did say that no DLC characters from 9 would be DLC characters in 10, and that turned out to be pretty true, didn't it?
Sure. I mean, he is
Yeah.
he is reasonable about sticking to those types of claims. So, say we don't get Martian Manhunter, Zatanna, and then the rest. I mean, we didn't expect Scorpion to come back. Most of us didn't expect Zod to come back. Batgirl and Lobo were kind of on the fence. I didn't really think they were likely, but they're not necessarily unlikely. But the most surprising easily has to be Martian Manhunter, and to a slightly lesser extent, Zatanna. So, thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, go on.
I'm not surprised Martian Manhunter's not coming back. I said this last episode, but both DC as a Warner Brothers in general, across all of their platforms, for the past like 5 years has just been shitting on Jon Jones nonstop. So to say he's not coming back, it's just business as usual to me. And I hate it because I love Martian Manhunter, but it is what it is.
But after that fan
Zatanna's the one
outrage,
that really bums me out.
You'd think that there'd be like some sort of recognition for the legacy of, if for nothing else, the DCAU and how much it ingrained the notion of that form of the Justice League being somewhat definitive for an entire generation of people who are probably grown up now and playing this game. But nope,
You would
not to
think
shit on them, but Jesus, man,
historically
people like Manhunter.
historically speaking, you would think that, but
It's
within the actual comic book company, I have, Marvel, when they have a thing out there on TV or in the movies, they're always quick to bring it into the comics. DC almost never does. So Teen Titans was like a decade ago, and most people only know the Titans through that show. They had no idea that Starfire, Raven, and Cyborg were even characters that existed before then. And yet the comics never made Starfire and Raven more like they are in the show until like the past year. And it's been really frustrating because honestly in the comics those characters have spent a long time sucking, and if they had been more like they are in the show they would have been better.
Honestly don't know who they hate more, Manhunter or Captain Marvel. It's probably Marvel.
I'm bummed
I mean,
about both.
See, I don't think they hate Captain Marvel. I think they have trouble finding a niche for him because he is so similar to Superman.
yeah, I wouldn't say they hate him because I mean maybe in the comic sense, but why would they make a movie for him if they don't like the character? If they're just trying to get rid of this character and they're just trying to
We have
bury
yet
him
to
in the
see
past.
whether or not this actually becomes a Black Adam movie or not.
No, it's
I
been
wouldn't be
announced that it's
They-
going to
they
be a
said they're
spin-off.
making-
Yeah.
They're making 2 movies. One is an actual Captain Marvel movie, and then the one after that is something that has Black Adam in it as well.
Yeah, it's just a spin-off because it's going to be The Rock playing him, so obviously they're going to want to run with that. But I don't know, bringing it back
I guarantee you that Captain Marvel movie is going the way of the upcoming Aquaman game. Canceled.
I doubt that.
Canceled. Canceled. Canceled.
I really doubt that.
Canceled like a Boba Fett video game. / movie.
Nope.
/ anything.
Okay.
As someone who actually like pays attention to the writers and editors and reads interviews and stuff, as far as the behind the scenes of DC Comics goes, I happen to know that Jeff Johns, who has maximum control right now over both like his actual position at Warner Brothers is the chief creative consultant on all adaptations. So he's almost certainly a voice that gets to decide things about like the roster in Injustice 2. He is a huge Captain Marvel fan.
Maybe that's the whole reason that the movie may be getting off the ground, because I came off of 10 years of just watching Captain Marvel get shit on every single way possible. Like, I mean, when he got lobotomized in Injustice, I laughed. I knew it was going to happen.
That was not done because of anybody disliking Captain Marvel. In fact, I've said it before, Ed Boon has said his two favorite characters in DC are Flash and Captain Marvel. That was done because Billy is a child and it makes Superman look as evil as possible.
It's true. Let's bring this
one of
back.
the best scenes in the game too. But
Let's bring it back.
Yeah, go on, Sunbrook.
Oh, I'm just gonna say, let's bring it back. So thoughts on? So we talked about Captain Marvel. Thoughts on and Martian Manhunter. Thoughts on Zatanna not making the cut? For me, that definitely hurts because I really was looking forward to her in Injustice 1, but since we kind of missed the boat on Injustice 1, I was really looking forward to her being in Injustice 2. I believe she was pretty high up on my wish list, and that makes her very unlikely to come back now. So if she doesn't make the main roster, probably not going to make DLC unless, which I'm going to talk about later, unless Redman and I were actually discussing this, maybe they do, since they're bringing legacy characters back from Injustice 1, where they have a lot of the same stuff, with just a little bit added on, so that way they can build a bigger roster. Maybe some of the DLC characters they sell for cheaper, and they're basically legacy characters from Injustice 1's DLC. So maybe we have a Zatanna that's DLC, and she's cheaper, like $2 instead of $5 or whatever, what have you. And she is just a port over from Injustice 1 with a little bit more polish put on her and some new moves. I would not be disappointed with that, but I don't know. I'm disappointed overall if she's not included, for sure.
Well, I mean, to chime in, first of all, I like having a diversity of character types, and I don't feel like we really have a strong mage character. I know Dr. Fate, okay? I know Dr. Fate. It supposedly fills that role, but it's a completely different dynamic. Also, like, 6, in theory, the list is right. There's only 6 women in the game, and that's not very good in my opinion. I think we can do better than that. So, to me, that's way worse than Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter, I know you guys say DC hates him. I mean, I believe that, but God, it's still a bold move, though. Even if they do hate him, even if that's clearly what they want, I still think it's brave of them to exclude Martian Manhunter, but I really wanted Zatanna back. I like that character a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely disappointing. You were saying, Redman?
It's not really surprising to me, honestly, considering how she was in gameplay-wise. I think she wasn't used very much in tournaments, and she was pretty awkward to play. So, on that aspect, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
do you know where
that's
she
why
fell
they
in the tier
reinvent
list
her.
at all?
Sorry, what?
Tier list?
You know where she fell in the tier list?
I think she was considered like mid-tier. She was just very awkward to use, but she had some good stuff.
Yeah, but you can always reinvent that wheel, in my opinion. I mean, there's no reason every character from Injustice 1 needs to play the same, especially since she was a DLC character. They could reinvent that wheel, put her on the main roster, but let's not belabor a point. Let's move on from this. It does.
Well, I want to belabor it a little bit because I feel like Zatanna. Well, here's the thing: like everyone thought Kenshi was low to mid tier for like the first year he was out, which in retrospect is absolute insanity. I feel like there were shades that Zatanna was going to kind of climb up the ladder, but I was kind of out of the Injustice scene by that point.
Didn't they give Kenshi major buffs in like the second or third patch?
I can't remember, to be honest.
I feel like they did. I feel like that's why he got better, because he needed them.
That's definitely true of a lot of characters. Sonya is a classic example of that. Sonya got super good for no reason. But I can't remember if Kenshi was in that group or not. Okay, but I'm done belaboring. We can stop belaboring.
All right, moving on to the next point was because we're getting more DLC characters than we've ever gotten in an NRS game as well, which we already knew that based on the what's been announced for the Ultimate Edition and all of that. So we know we're getting 9 DLC characters. We don't know if that's the final amount, but I'd be kind of surprised if it's not. But you never know, given that it's not the first time that we got a season 1, or a season pass and then just more DLC on top of it. So it wouldn't shock me if we had the same case in Injustice 2 with NRS's game. If we got 9 characters, and nowhere does it say you're going to get all DLC for Injustice or anything like that in the Ultimate Edition. It just says you get 9 characters. So there could be additional, attached to that. But yeah, so we're expecting more DLC. So it could bring up the character roster to around 40 characters. Which is impressive. 38 if it's 29 in the initial rosters. Either way, that's a damn decent sized roster for this day and age on like a 3D modeled game like that. So I'm looking forward to that big of a roster. That's really cool. It leaves a lot of room for more obscure characters, and that's another point I wanted to mention here. Is Ed Boon did say that there's definitely going to be a lot more obscure characters in this game. They, with Injustice 1, wanted to tackle more of the main iconic characters of the DC universe, but with this one, they're leaving some of those characters out in favor of more obscure characters. So they want to go in that direction, which we've already started to see. You got your Blue Beetle, you got your Gorilla Grodd, you got your Atrocitus. So we're starting to see those characters that maybe not be AAA characters or the A-listers or the characters that you most associate right when you think of the DC franchise, but we're starting to get some of those fan favorites put in there, and we could see that trend continuing. Obviously, we got Poison Ivy. If we get like a Dr. Fate in there, if we get Swamp Thing, etc., we're definitely seeing more of that trend.
I think we got to work on that definition of obscure, because right now you're going from AAA to everyone else is obscure, man. I don't know. Poison Ivy, odds are, if they're like a starting class Batman villain, I give them at least B class. You telling me obscure, I think of members of the Suicide Squad like Bronze Tiger. That's what I think of when I think of obscure.
I agree with you. I'm going off of what their terminology here. I'm not saying those characters, they're certainly not obscure to me. I don't think Poison Ivy is considered obscure in the DCU. To me, a Dr. Fate might be borderline obscure, because your average fan isn't going to know who Dr. Fate is unless they actually read DC Comics or watch the animated series. I don't think your average fan knows who that is. He's not. Whereas a Poison Ivy, a Bane, who else? Blue Beetle, in my opinion, is one of those borderline characters too. I don't think many think of him when they're immediately thinking of. If you walk up on the street that has any sort of general knowledge of comic books, mainly their knowledge is based on who's been in movies. And I doubt many people are going to know who Blue Beetle is right off the top of their head, or Dr. Fate is. But with that said, I'm in complete agreement with you. I think even Ed Boon corrected himself during that same statement where he said, not necessarily obscure, but, and then I can't remember what his definition he used or how he defined them, but yeah, no, I'm in complete agreement. I don't think of them as obscure. When I think of obscure, I think Granny Goodness or something like that. That is obscure.
Who was already deconfirmed, much to my great displeasure. Fuckers, you just cost yourselves $10. I would have bought that. Something's wrong with you if you don't respect Granny.
I think I too would be attracted to the idea of Granny Goodness in a fighting game. I think that design is so out there and so weird that it's almost, I don't know, weird is attractive sometimes. I think that's a good example. Not to say Granny Goodness is attractive,
It is a great example, and you know what, man? People want to talk about diversity in this here gaming age of ours. When the fuck do old ladies get representation in fighting games? You know what? Granny Goodness should be our Fujin cause this time through.
You gotta love a female character who's voiced by Ed Asner.
You don't want to make her the Fujin cause, because you want a cause that actually succeeds, so maybe make her the Tremor cause.
I know. It'll never happen.
They also deconfirmed Space Ghost. That bummed me out.
Yeah, I saw that.
That would have been.
Man, Space Ghost is a different story. He don't need this game. Space Ghost can have his own fucking game. Sell 25 times better than Injustice 2 ever will, I'll tell you that. People love Space Ghost. I'm kidding.
But yeah, moving on from that. So that pretty much covers most of the stream kind of reveals or discussion. I mean, they did reveal Robin, so he's probably worth discussing here for a little bit as well. Thoughts on Robin? I already did my own video, which you guys can go check out, so you already got my reaction, so I'm going to let everybody else chime in here. What are your thoughts on Damian Wayne's Robin trailer? Think he looks good? What do you got?
Looks gameplay-wise kind of like the bastard child of Scarlet and Deathstroke. Kind of hate the base outfits. More swordplay than I was expecting, which is good. If, you gave me Damian and he's just using a staff, I think there might be something wrong. But yeah, it's a really, really good idea to introduce Damian as a main character off the bat in the starting roster in this game. Robin's changed with the seasons, and it's good to give him this kind of exposure, I guess. We're always going to miss Dick Grayson, and unless they give us, Black Lantern Dick or something, but I'm curious to see what kind of outfits they're going to go with him.
In the comic adaptation, after he died, he became the new Dead Man.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Again,
Spoilers.
$10 they could have from me. Nice.
Temp and I are reading through these, damn it. I know we're about 5 years too late, but damn it, we haven't gotten to that part yet.
Sorry.
Son of a bitch.
Everyone
I mean,
seems to actually
I don't really care about
That's
Damien, so it doesn't really
That's my bad.
matter too much, but still, damn it. I'm going to be looking for that to happen. Anyways.
Guys, the Injustice comic, it's good. People tell me it's very good. I should read this thing then, yes?
That's not what I heard. Okay.
Wait. Did he die in Injustice, or are we talking about his death in the actual comics?
So year one of the comic has the worst art I've ever seen. But the story is
All right, well,
solid.
we don't need your whole damn retrospective on it.
Just thought years 2 and 3 are worth reading, and then in 4 and 5 it kind of goes downhill.
Okay.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Can you answer
That's
the
my-
question, when you're referring to Damian dying in the comics, are you referring in the Injustice universe, or are you talking
Not
about...
Damian, Dick.
Dick. I mean.
Okay,
yeah.
we got to that part. I thought you were
You
talking
gotta
about
separate
Damian.
your dicks from your birds, my friend.
What?
Your dicks from your birds.
You can't fit a penis into a bird. I guess it depends on what type of bird.
Now you're
but...
hearing what you want to hear.
No, I'm literally talking about what you're talking about.
He was talking about men named Richard.
Do you know how
We're
hard
putting
it is to
penis
fit a
up.
damn penis into a pelican? I mean,
Yeah, it's hard when you're working with dicks. I'll stop now.
all right. Anyways, let's move on from that. Any other thoughts on Damien Temp you want to weigh in here?
I like the hood. The face is a little weird. Again, it feels like a different face because me and Smokeman have argued about this a lot, but I actually like Damien, his design in Injustice. I like the whole long hair, the crow. It's very like Screamo. I actually really dig it. His face expression looks a little strange, it's a little distracting. I'm not a really big Robin fan. I'm a really big Jason Todd fan, but I'm not really a big Robin fan. I'm not anti-Robin. Like I really like Dick Grayson in Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
I could not finish the Son of Batman movie. I actually really don't like that movie. Just tonally was really off to me. But what's up, Razor?
Although all of the animated movies they've made since they switched to adapting New 52 stuff have not been good. It's Bruce Timm isn't working on them anymore is the thing. But in the comics, Damian is a much better character than he is in those cartoons.
Well, I thought Batman was also kind of the problem in that show or that movie. Just tonally, it felt very off. But yeah, I don't know. It almost felt like an '80s throwback movie where the guy has to take care of a kid. And he's like a businessman. He's not used to dealing with children. It almost had that vibe going for it, like a Clifford kind of vibe. It was really weird. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I don't really have much of an opinion. I'm happy for Django. I mean, I too would have liked a non-Damian Robin. It doesn't really even matter which one. I would have been okay with Tim Drake. I would have been okay with Dick Grayson.
I would have preferred Dick, honestly.
Well, I like Nightwing better than Robin. That's the thing. I actually like. I'm a big Teen Titans fan, and I like Dick Grayson as Nightwing better. So
Dick Grayson is very much Nightwing to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And And there's an argument to be made that if they wanted to be extra ballsy, this will asterisk never fucking happen. But for any of us who actually read Grant Morrison's Batman and Robin series, there was a fucking argument out there for Dick being Batman as well. Again,
Yeah,
never happened,
Dick
but
is actually my favorite Batman.
everyone loved that run. Honestly, having some sort of alternate Dick Grayson Batman here with like Damian as a main character would be worth it for the dialogue alone, probably.
Okay.
But they'd have to set the whole thing in a different universe.
Yeah, I know. Needs its own game. It really does. Really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I get in short, it's good. It's not bad. You know, I like the overall design.
Okay. Yeah, I liked a lot of the stuff with the sword play. I like how they made him kind of a man with the sword behind him. I believe somebody said like an anime style in the chat. I like that, and I like the overall what he does. I like his little tricks with the almost like firecracker looking things, just little explosions across the ground, tripping up the opponent. I like throwing the batarang behind the opponent and then choosing when he teleports. It looked like because he waited for Deadshot to kneel down and start shooting to activate the teleport, which just looked really, really cool. It's just very stylish. The character looks like a lot of fun.
Some of it actually does remind me of Takeda, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
There
no,
are
I
like
think
small flavors of Takeda in there.
absolutely. I think Django's really, really gonna like Damien. I hope for his sake there is an alternate version with a staff that can be Tim Drake, because I'm pretty sure Django chooses Tim Drake as his Robin. He does like Dick for Nightwing, of course, but and just Dick in general. Anyways,
Can we just go by a Richard rule or something?
no,
Grayson's
Nobody
fine.
calls him Rich.
Do Grayson.
we go by what the comics does, and you gotta exploit the shit out of that Dick. Anyways, okay, so let's move on from Robin.
Yep, learn to
And
love Dick.
yes,
Like, I'm watching the gameplay right now, and you see Takeda. I'm really seeing like Scarlet and Deathstroke here.
no, you're right.
A lot of it's the
You're right.
ground
He
explosives.
even has the little flipping slices like
Yeah, he's a sword
Deathstroke
flip.
had in Injustice 1. But yeah, let's move on to the beta then, because that pretty much covered it for the stream. Other than the fact that, well, I guess it bridges the gap here. So the last question they answered was that the beta codes were going to go out right after the stream, and that you'd be playing this right after the stream. And everyone was
So,
freaking out and going crazy and just saying how happy they were, and everyone was just losing their crap in the stream. It was very cool. I was at work. I was getting pumped knowing when I got home I could potentially play this. Well, here we are 2 days later, still no codes. They did send out some codes, but it seems
Some
like
people are up
got
there.
Codes. We just weren't among them.
yeah, no, it seems like
There's a
the
lot of
people
competition.
it seems like the people they did send codes to were the tournament players, the people that are on popular websites, the people that are on really popular YouTube channels and Twitch streams. It seems like they deliberately sent them to all the people that could basically
Provide
have
the most amount of exposure and press coverage.
exactly right, which is fine. I totally get that approach, but why
And
not?
I'm not bitter.
Why not give it to the people? Like, it's the way they presented it, I guess, that I have a problem with, because they could have just said, hey, we're going to send out a wave of codes to popular websites, popular tournament players, popular YouTubers, etc., and you guys can catch their streams and hear, hopefully in the near future, within the next week or so. Everyone else, we should start dealing out codes to them as well. But when you say you guys could be playing the game after the stream and this and that, it gets all the randos and everybody on our level super excited. And yet here we are still waiting, which I'm okay with, because I mean it's gonna last a month or more. So I'm not like feeling like, oh man, I got to get my time in. What am I gonna do? There's only 4 days left. I still don't have a code. It's not like that. So I'm patient about it. I just think the way they approached it was a little bit off the mark.
See, I've seen on like message boards and stuff, randos have gotten codes too.
Sure.
So I think,
Yeah.
but those people aren't the people who then say,
Commenting, yeah.
Yeah, you don't
They're
you don't hear
playing.
from them.
They're
So it
playing the
doesn't
game
seem-
happily.
The only voices you hear are the people who stream or the people who didn't get codes.
But
You're not
how?
hearing all the randos who did, so it seems shadier than it actually is.
Sure, but when did you guys sign up? I signed up within like the first 40 minutes of those things going up.
It-
Well, it depends. What time did it go up?
It was early in the day. I don't even remember at this point.
Well, I
But
woke up at like 3 p.m., so I can't even complain.
Yeah, I think I was a few hours late to it.
But still, like, I signed up like 3 minutes after it went up, and
yeah,
I still didn't get one.
I don't think that's how they pick.
Yeah,
I think
it's.
I don't
think it's
think
random.
they have some kind of timer attached to when you signed up that they know who got there first anyway.
it's not like a
I
queue.
think they've got all these pages of email addresses and they picked at random.
It still seems odd to me because I follow a lot of the top players on Twitter,
and
and
they all got them.
just
Well, I
about
mean,
every
they
one
made
of them.
sure those guys got them, and then they picked at random.
Yeah, I think that's what Cyborg was saying. It's just the way they presented it to make
Well,
it
I
like,
think
oh, you can play
you're
immediately
running-
after.
When you're running a marketing machine, you have to make sure those guys get copies too.
Yeah, for sure.
I want them to
but-
suffer just like us.
See,
But that doesn't get the word out about whether or
No,
not
I
the game
know.
is good.
I know. I get it.
I did not try because trying for losers. Also, I heard that like it was like U.S. residents only, and like people in Canada were just straight up bucked.
It's
so,
actually
man.
North America only. Isn't that Canada?
No, like I seriously heard it was like U.S. only, and like no one from Canada was eligible.
I thought it was North America.
Maybe I could be wrong. I remember hearing
I
like
think,
I just remember hearing somewhere it was U.S. only.
Hmm. Somebody should
Ketchup
look
from
into
the UK
that.
got it.
Somebody should look into that. 'cause
Ketchup. It's someone in the UK got one. Then fuck
Yeah,
never mind.
ketchup.
It doesn't
But
even when you sign up, it doesn't ask where you live. It's
All right,
just
fair
put
enough.
in a name and an email address.
Yeah, it does say. I remember in the actual details page, like the FAQ about it, it said North America because I remember thinking that. I'm like, Shadowloo said he was gonna like try and get it, or something along those lines in the chat, and then I was thinking, oh, that excludes Canada, but then I realized it was North America, which includes Canada. So I thought
So I
we
heard
had
it
a
from
shot.
you then. All right, that makes sense.
But yeah. Anyways, so well, don't worry too much. I signed up like 3 times. I don't know. Yeah. So one of those has to come through.
Can we actually? Is it confirmed? Can we actually matchmake, or is it just random fucking searches?
It's random
Random.
matchmaking.
It's just random matchmaking. All right, you guys have fun.
But if you find each other, which is what I'm gonna do as soon as I get a code, I want to like try and team up with Redman. We're just gonna keep searching over and over and over. When you get each other, you can keep rematching because at that point, then you can actually learn the game and trial and error stuff instead of playing against people that are probably just gonna keep trying to beat you down, which isn't that fun. But anyways,
Well, I did want to ask, Redman, how long did it take you to get a match?
It's very quick. It's like seconds.
Interesting. Okay. And it sounds, I'm told the connection is very good. Is that your experience?
Yeah, it's very solid. I played for about 6 hours yesterday, and I only had like a couple lag spikes here and there.
Well, I can't imagine the servers are strained at all.
Just Billy with his Ethernet or Billy with his fucking Wi-Fi.
my thought is if they made MKX run as smoothly as it does now, and they're already saying that this is supposed to be a better version of what they did in MKX because they're always trying to improve, which obviously could just be marketing jargon. But at the same time, I don't understand. Even if they just said, yeah, this is what's in MKX, people would be pretty happy with that alone. But for them to say, yeah, we're doing what we did with MKX, but we're going to try and even improve upon it, that's why we're testing it here. To me, that's a really good sign.
Okay, well, I mean, I absolutely agree, and I think this game's going to kill it when it comes to the online scene. I do have a lot of boring gameplay questions for Redman, but before we get into that, Redman, do you want to go over what you think of the characters so far, from
Yeah,
best to worst?
Just break it down. This
I'm
floor
sure.
is yours.
All right, well, I'll start out with the legacy characters. So they're pretty much, like I was saying earlier, like they're pretty much ported exactly from Injustice 1 almost. There's a few small changes here and there with like strings, like Superman's back 2-3 is now a blockable command grab, or a couple of Batman's strings don't launch you as far. Other than that, they're almost exactly the same as they were. I think if you main someone in Injustice 1 and they make it in Injustice 2, you'll probably feel right at home, like once you start playing with them. Atrocitus is probably like I haven't really played with Supergirl at all, but uh, in fighting with Supergirl, she's very annoying to fight with.
Well, if you had to give her like an archetype, is she a zoner? Is she rushdown?
A little bit of both. She has like
Oh,
perfect.
that's awful.
Perfect.
yeah.
Yes.
Go on.
Yeah.
That's what
I
Katana
get
is
the
very
impression-
zony rushdown. I like it.
I get the impression every time I see footage of Supergirl that she's the everything character like fucking Reptile, and that's just not necessary.
Well, what about the walk, the laser walk? Is that good? Is that useful?
Well, it does a lot of chip on block, but
Sounds
it does it takes up her entire trait, but it does build a lot of meter in return as well. So it seems
Well,
decent.
it looks swag, and I'm
Yeah.
only using Supergirl because I want to use Power Girl once the game comes out. So that will be my beta character. In a minute here, I think we're all going to list what characters we want to use for the beta. But okay. So as far as the characters, like, do you feel like everyone fits an archetype, or are they all mixes like Supergirl?
No, like pretty much everyone's different. Atrocitus is very much a zoning kind of character, and he also has pressure with Dexter. Batman's more defensive, but he can also rush down. Superman's kind of all around a very solid character. And Supergirl, like, as far as I can tell, she has decent. She's kind of, not really the master of none, but she's good at everything.
Jack of all trades. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm digging that.
Okay.
I'm digging that.
yeah. I
Well,
think she
you
would
know,
fit your style.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
I was just gonna say, I think she would fit Cyborg's style, considering he played Katana, who was kind of similar.
I'd be in the same boat as Temp though. If I played Supergirl, it would only be because I would be switching her out for Power Girl.
Yeah.
You gotta have boob
Ditto,
window.
yes.
You gotta have boob window, in my opinion.
Yeah, no. Supergirl, Power Girl. God, she's got a very definitive design, unlike Supergirl, this rendition of Supergirl doesn't look like any Supergirl I've ever seen before. But I don't read Supergirl comics, so I don't know too much about that. Well, before I get into the really intricate gameplay questions, I want to talk about speed. How fast does it compare to the old Injustice, and how does that make it strategically different?
It feels like Injustice 1 for sure at the base, like in general it does, but it definitely does have like a 10 of MKX to it. Like it feels fast and fluid, but not so much where it's just complete rush down like an MKX. You can still kind of, zone a bit, but it's not as strong as it was in Injustice 1, but overall it feels really good to me. Like
Did they
it's
ditch
Have
really-
you
that,
tried the meter dash?
Yeah, I keep forgetting it's there, and but as far as I can tell, it is punishable. Like I punished people doing it with like throws. I'm not sure if it's that punishable. I don't know how much recovery it has, but it seems good.
It could be
Hey,
very
Shadow,
much.
you were saying something?
No, Shadow can go.
I just want to know, like, a lot of people like myself bitched about how Injustice 1 felt a little bit stiff. Would you say that's still the case? Do the characters feel a little bit more loose and limber? 'Cause that was my big problem with IG1, man.
Yeah,
Didn't feel right.
there's still a certain stiffness to it, but not so much. And I think the improved walk speed helps a lot with that. But it definitely still, like I've had certain moments where it feels kind of janky, like my inputs aren't coming out right, or I try to go from crouching and I get a special move or something like that. But it's not. It definitely feels better. But
All
if you're
right.
looking for like the fluidity of like MKX, I don't think you're gonna find it right. But it is better.
I always felt like a lot of the stiffness with Injustice was endemic to the engine, that you'd have to overhaul their whole 3-button thing. Like you'd have to go to 4 buttons and get rid of the heavy if you wanted it to not be stiff.
I don't know. I just felt like I was moving a bunch of heavy boxes around when I was running around the screen.
I could see. Yeah.
That was literally it, man. I didn't feel a difference when I was playing Bane versus playing Batman or Grundy or whatever the fuck have you. Everyone just sort of felt the same, clunky, and that more than anything else was why I just could not get into the first game.
Again,
I'm more than willing to give
blame
this another shot. I mean, I'm getting the game for free, so
I
And
blame
I
you.
am buying the game for PS4 and Xbox now, so I'll be
Oh
playing
my
it as well.
god, here we go. Oh
Yeah,
my
I know.
god, you
I
son
gotta.
of a gun. Why do you...
Yeah.
Okay, anyways, I wanted to... We'll talk about that later. After the... I'm just kidding.
It's
But
like a
seriously, we
punishment,
will.
like I'm in trouble.
No, it's just you've been saying this whole time, not gonna
Oh,
do
you're
this.
right.
And now that you're gonna get them both, I'm gonna have to get them both because my only justification of not getting them both was because you're not getting them both. So now it's just like you voluntarily just drugged me
Now it all
into
comes up.
spending more money on this game, and I
I
was
know it's awful. I hate it too. I hate it too, Cyborg. I hate it too.
no. Anyways, okay, we'll talk about that later. Either way, I'm just curious. But okay, so one thing on the movement is when MKX first came out, we barely used the run button. Like we tried to use it, but it just didn't feel as natural as it does now. So my ultimate question is, when you with this roll mechanic or whatever this is, that's supposedly there to speed up gameplay or to get in on zoning and stuff like that. How does that feel? Do you feel like maybe you just haven't spent enough time with the game to really find its true usefulness and to speed up the combat and make you feel less like slow? Because you said the walk speed was faster, but is there anything that's just like if you want to get the jump on your opponent and do it quickly, is that what you need to use to? Because we see Robin running in the trailer. Is that maybe a special? I mean, I know there's no run in the game, but you know what I mean. Like, how do you get in on your opponent in a quick enough manner? Because going from Injustice 1, I'm kind of in the same boat that Shadowloo had. I didn't dislike Injustice 1 like he did, but at the same time, going back to Injustice 1 after MKX, that was my biggest problem with it, is I just felt very slow. Everything was very, very slow and methodical rather than quick and reaction, like very quick reactions, very quick light on your feet movements that you get with MKX. Like, I feel perfect with MKX. So where are we at? Do you feel like the roll mechanic is something that maybe is just going to take time to get used to? Because I know when we all first played MKX, Temp was like, I don't know about this. I don't like how this is. Doesn't. And then we all really, it started to grow on us and we all got comfortable with it. Do you feel like maybe that's the case here?
I can't really say about the roll mechanic since honestly, I keep forgetting it's even in the game. I think my opponents do too because, like for the first 4 hours, I didn't use it once. I completely forgot
Okay.
about it, and then someone did it to me, and I was like, oh yeah, okay.
So what happens then? Explain it to me because I haven't even really seen it in videos. Explain to me what it's there for. What do you have to do to make it work? And yeah, what exactly is it accomplishing by doing that?
Basically you press forward and the meter bird button, and you do a roll.
So it's like
And I
the
believe
run. Okay.
Kinda, yeah. But it's just a straight roll. You can't like control where you go. I don't know if there's a backwards roll or not. I'm not sure about that, but it
Interesting.
basically has projectile invulnerability. So if you do that when someone throws a projectile at you, you'll go through it and possibly be able to punish them. I'm not sure, depending on the projectile. But yeah, I'm not sure if normal attacks will beat it or if you'll go through them. But it can also cross up, so you end up on the other side of the opponent,
So
so
you
they
like
can kind of
roll
get
through
mixed
them?
up there. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. It's almost like dashing through in Smash or something like that. So, okay. So
Speaking of fighters now,
yeah, so we have the roll then. How far does the roll take you? Are we talking short distance, mid screen, full screen? How far does that thing go?
I'm not certain, but when I did it full screen, you'll usually end up near your opponent, like really close to them. It goes a good distance.
Can you
as far
stop
as I
it
can.
at any point? Much like in running in an MKX, if you start
Oh, that'd be sick.
if you start running and then you start pressing buttons to attack or to do a special, does it cancel out of the roll like it does with the run in MKX? So can you roll and then just immediately start pounding your opponent at the time when you get close enough?
Yeah, I can't really say. Like, I haven't used it that much to really test that. I know I rolled once and then I like threw immediately. I threw the opponent like really quickly after my roll, but I don't know if I canceled out of it or not.
Okay, because
I'm not sure if that's a thing.
to me right now that role is important to me because I was not sold on MKX. I've never been somebody that used run and like Ultimate MK or MK4. Like run just never felt natural to me. So but I've also never been somebody that really dashes. Dashing to me is way more difficult to really truly understand to me because it always felt like people that could dash forward, duck to get in on somebody. I never really got that technique. I understand it, but I understood it, but I could never get the timing down to really benefit from it. Whereas running an MKX became everything. It became why the game felt so fun and fluid and quick and on your feet. And it really, I came to use it as a tool in my favor. So do you feel like the role maybe has that potential? Temp, what have you seen from the streams? What are you thinking?
I haven't seen a lot. My main concern was about zoning, because zoning was very strong and early in Justice, and I think it would have stayed strong. The reason why zoning didn't last too long is not because people quote figured it out. It's because we found out the zoners had all this ridiculous rushdown potential. Fucking what? Sinestro had a vortex.
Yeah.
Fucking Deathstroke had like crazy good like footsie range tools. Like so, Injustice One is such a ridiculous fucking game. I enjoy it, but I'm like you, Cyborg. I haven't seen the execution much, but I'm very excited about it. Um, and it's meter dependent. So I guess my question would be, how fast are you building meter, Redman?
As far as I can tell, I build meter really fast. I usually have some meter to burn, and the roll costs 1 bar, and the combo burst thing costs 2 bars, I think. So you can kind of spare some meter here and there for the roll, at least from what I can tell. But
When you say combo burst, you're not talking about the wager. You're talking about the air tech thing, right?
yes, the air tech thing. Not the
Okay, tell us how that applies in combat.
Yeah, what is an
um,
air tech?
From what I can tell, like when I do it, usually I'm not sure if it's like depending on where you are in there. Usually, like if I get okay, so say someone does like a back three to me and they're going in for a jump in, I can air tech out of their like jump in and kind of punish them when they fall, I believe. I think I've done that before, and I think the use is to get out of a combo, but if they read you, they can punish you when you're in recovery.
But you can use it while you're being comboed, right? In that instance, it was more of a defense mechanism. But while you're in the combo, you can use the 2 bars for the air tech, or is it prior to the combo? I guess that's the part I'm not clear on.
I think it is during the combo, but I think you also have to be in the air. You have to be like being juggled in the air. I don't think if you're being combo on the ground, you can do that. I'm not.
But it's mad recovery if they bait it, though, right? Like if they stop pressing buttons.
Yeah, it seems like there is a decent amount of recovery.
So is that replacing the combo breaker?
No, wagers
no,
are still
there
in,
is
right?
the clash.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so the clash system's still there for that. Okay, so
I
one
feel like
more.
it's kind of. I was just gonna say, I feel like it's kind of like an alternative to a breaker. It's more risky than a breaker, but you can also get advantage off of it
Okay.
for the cost of 2 bars. So.
I have one more question on the roll mechanic. Since it costs a meter, it's got to be pretty useful, one could assume, right? I mean, run never cost a meter. It had the stamina mechanic, which may not be an injustice, I'm guessing, is no stamina mechanic. So I guess ultimately, if it costs a meter, I would really hope that you can roll and then just immediately start attacking, because there was so many mind games to play with running an MKX. You run in, are you going to go high? Are you going to go low? Are you going to stop short and do a special? What are you going to do? Are you going to run into a special? So on and so forth. Are you going to catch your opponent when they run? Are you going to, read that they're going to run in on you, and you do like a fan lift type of thing? So I guess ultimately I'm really curious about the role right now and how that works. But you may not have those answers right now, so I'm guessing I'm just really curious about how that plays into the feel of the game, because I'm with Shadowloo in the sense that I need this game to feel faster, quicker. It doesn't have to feel as fast and fluid as MKX, but it definitely needs to feel like I'm light on my feet. If I feel like I'm just like standing in one spot and I can't, like, getting around is difficult no matter what character you play, then that really sucks to me, because I purposely choose quick characters like Katana because I like to feel like as soon as, if I react last second to like a freeze ball or whatever, what have you, projectile, I need to be able to dodge that even at the last second because I'm so quick at reaction time or whatever. I need to feel like I can jump in time, I can duck in time, whatever I got to do. When I get an opportunity, I can roll in there or dash in there, whatever I got to my, tool set. I definitely, that's going to make or break the experience for me.
Just to cut it, IJ1 it didn't feel slow to me. It was just the characters and how they controlled. That was it.
Sure.
Box Factory. That's all.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I see what you're saying. Walking was slow. Like walking, like if you like count one Mississippi, two Mississippi, and watch the distance you actually go forward, walking was ridiculously slow. For Shazam, like I didn't even bother walking. I use like most of my like I do one dash, and if I'm not in back two range, then I walk forward until I am in back two range, and then I go for a back two. That was my footsie game in fucking Injustice One. And I would teleport from full distance if I knew the zoning wasn't going to get to me. So you're definitely not wrong about the box factory. Um,
I will say,
yeah.
I was just gonna say for Shadowley's problem, like when I'm playing Superman, I can move all over the screen, but when I go to say someone like Atrocitus, I'm pretty much stuck there unless I want to just risk dashing in. Like he is slow as fuck. Like
That's
compared to,
kind of the way that I would expect things to be more like.
yeah.
That's just
that-
sort of how I felt everyone was in Injustice 1 to some degree or another.
So I do feel a clear difference as far as I've played. So.
That's good.
Yeah,
Slightly
character
more
variety
optimistic
definitely. Yeah, character variety is key because if you're playing a big brutish character, you should expect to move slow unless you're like Doomsday or something. Whereas if you're playing a very quick and nimble character, if you're moving slow, then that completely breaks your immersion and makes you feel like worthless and helpless. So I completely get where you're coming from there.
Well, I guess I have really just two primary gameplay questions. Before we get into that, did y'all want to chime in anything else, or?
No, I mean, I covered the main things that have been brought up so far. The role, like I said, is the main thing to me, but until I get my hands in the game and really get a feel for that speed, I'm not hyped for the gameplay. I'm really just cautiously optimistic at this point. Until I get my hands on the beta, which is really the only reason I want to play the beta, is not to play the game itself, but to really reaffirm what I should be feeling going into the release. Should I be super excited? Because it took a bit for MKX for me to really appreciate the gameplay. So I don't expect to feel comfortable right away. But after a couple hours of playing it, if I don't feel comfortable after a couple hours, that's going to be a red flag going into the main game of how excited I can actually get. So
Yeah, I always lamented there was no demo for MKX because I wanted to use the run button before I bought the game. I wanted to run before I walked, so to speak. So
sure.
Okay, well, probably the most important general question I have for you, Redman, is right now we know anti-heroes are really good in this game. We also know wake ups not safe, or they can be meter burn to be safe, from what I understand, but they're solid. They're very effective. It's not like MKX. So if you look at MK9, how did you get in? Well, you used dash, pressure, and throws. In MKX, how did you get in? Well, you did Sub-Zero's back two, and that was that. This game, going back to Injustice 1, it was kind of a mix of 50-50s combined with a lot of plus frames, like with Batman and like with Meter Burn, Aquaman, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So my question is, with anti-heroes being so good, and with all the meter dependency, how are you opening up other players? Because that's going to really determine whether it's a good game or not. As if it's 50-50 talent, which it doesn't seem to be, or if it's smart, frame data dependent, like rush down gameplay.
So far I've not experienced too many 50-50s. Atrocitus has a very small one, but other than that, like I have been getting opened up by like Batman because he has such good rush down still, even in this game. But other than that, I've been honestly trying to open up people with throws. It's been something I've been struggling with Superman especially. So I try to go for pressure, and then I'll eventually just have to throw them because I really have no other way other than going for like a low or a meter burn forward three or something like that. So that is still something I'm working on, but
I like
Well,
the
talk
sound
about
of
throws
that.
then. Oh, I'm sorry. Go on, Shadowloo.
I like the sound of that. I appreciate a game where throws are actually very useful and a central part of the gameplay.
Well, throws were butt in Injustice 1, so are throws like a lot better now in Injustice 2?
So far it seems so. Like I'll go for like a pressure string and I'll be plus on block. I'll go for a throw or something like that, which is something you didn't see that often in Injustice 1. So especially with Atrocitus, I've been utilizing throws. Go on.
How safe is the mid-range game? Because in MKX, the mid-range game is a fucking war zone. While in MK9, the mid-range game was a lot closer to Street Fighter 4. You could actually hang in the mid-range and go for like a dash in, down 4. You can do a back dash and do a back 2 with smoke. How safe or not safe? In Injustice, obviously, the mid-range was like a death alley. So
Yeah.
is the mid-range more mid-rangey? How does that feel to you?
I'm not too sure so far. Like I'll like go if you go for
Can't
a
tell if that
dash.
was a yawn or uncertainty. But go on.
It's uncertainty.
Okay, gotcha.
So if I'm like mid-screen and I go in for a dash, like more than likely, if they're looking at me, they'll probably be able to punish me. Like dashes still have a lot of recovery, but you can also kind of full screen. You go for a dash and you wait for them to jump or something. Go for an anti-air. It's kind of the same sort of thing as Injustice One, but not as bad. I think maybe the role could go into that a bit. You know.
That's super fucking interesting. Because I mean, Cyborg. What was the mid range like against Katana? Do you remember? Like, what happens when you're in jump distance against Katana? You
What
get
do you
blown
mean?
the fuck up, right?
What? What
With
do you mean by
Katana,
that?
like like say you're in jump distance of Katana. What is Katana gonna do?
Misted, that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly, precisely. Or that's one of a million really bad things that could happen.
Yeah,
Even with
are you
Sub-Zero,
saying like
like-
what are you, if you're mid-screen from me and I'm playing Katana, what am I gonna do? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna try and say you're Sub-Zero. I'm either gonna try and bait you to slide and then block and then go for it, or I'm gonna fan lift you, or I'm gonna do the little forward, forward two, and which is her, very long, it gives her a nice long reach combo to start there. So yeah, there's definitely options, or just running in and going balls to the wall, or jump-ins, of course. But yeah,
yeah, it's dangerous. The mid range was crazy scary
or
in
ass
MKX,
fly,
which is why.
flying ass.
Yeah, ass fly. Yeah,
It's good
that's
stuff.
well, that's scary everywhere. Honestly, that's not just the mid range. You have to worry about ass everywhere against Katana. So,
Yeah.
Don't be worried.
Okay, well, that answers my first question. Sonic Fox was saying you're not going to open up anyone unless you do shimmies or throws, and I think that will change, but that makes me a little nervous.
Mhm.
But with the meter dependency, I feel it sounds like everyone gets plus frames from the meter burning. Is that right?
For Atrocitus, yeah, I'm not sure about everyone else, but for Atrocitus, I've been doing the meter burn punch block, and that's like +5 or so, and I can go for like a down one or something after. Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess my final question would be
You said two.
bread and butter. Well, let's go on. What's that?
You're good. You're good.
Nope. Gotcha. All right. Well, bread and butters. What? Wait, what?
Huh?
Really?
What?
Said it?
Oh,
What?
G.I. Joe.
But yes, bread and butters. I felt like bread and butters. Fuck. I felt like bread and butters felt really sloppy in Injustice One. Very inconsistent. Did they feel the same?
Oh yeah, I had a lot of trouble with Atrocitus at first, but once I learned how to do it, I really only have dropped it a couple of times. But with Superman, just it's kind of getting used to the entire combo system again, and it feels like there is a bit more delay on like certain moves like back threes, but it's not like once you adjust to it, I think you'll be fine. It does feel pretty consistent to me.
Well, it wasn't really the tight links I had problem with. Like doing a back three with Sinestro after doing like I think a back one too. Like that stuff didn't bother me. It was just the juggle deterioration with Shazam. That's what drove me nuts because like on Thursdays my combo would work and on Friday my combo would not work and and part of that was online of course too. But even offline, I feel like my forward three would not consistently work. And forward two would not consistently work, and that drove me nuts.
I have been experiencing that a bit, especially like the interactable ground bounce thing where you hit them against the wall. Like I keep doing that with Superman, and I drop it constantly. Like I'll go for like a forward two after, and I'll drop that. And it seems, at least maybe I don't know if I need to time it better or not, but it seems like that is kind of inconsistent, kind of like how it was. But
I mean, it's a concern, but we'll see. I mean, the problem was partially me in Injustice 1, and I look forward to myself being partially the problem in Injustice 2.
Yeah, it's not completely, there, but...
Did y'all want to do a quick round table? And I'm sorry, go on. Either one of y'all.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, if you want to do a round table of who we're gonna play in the beta, might as well. Shadowloo, we'll start with you. If you were to play the beta, if you change your mind and decide you do want to sign up, Batman. Okay.
Batman.
There you go.
Batman.
All right, Redman, who have you been playing?
I've been playing mainly Superman and Atrocitus.
Okay.
I'm not gonna play Supergirl or... I played Batman a bit, but not too much. But I've been mainly focusing on those two.
Okay.
Batman.
Razor?
I don't know if I'm gonna have a main, because what's gonna happen if I do get a beta code is I'm just gonna play everybody as much as possible to unlock as much gear as possible, because to me this game is a dolly dress-up game. I'm not playing a fighting game.
That's fine.
Like, that's all I care about, really.
Just keeping it real. It's all good.
I have
Razor,
I have to
when,
find costumes that look like the comics, and if they're not
when-
there, this game is shit.
Razor, when you and I get together and do this on PS4, we best about to have us some Batman Zuranar batches, if you know what I'm saying. Okay? Yeah, you're laughing. You know what I'm saying.
No,
Purple,
I know what you're saying.
red, yellow, homeless baseball bat. Folks, go look up the Batman of Zuranar, as written by Grant Morrison. You will thank me.
I'm sure that color scheme will be in there. They would be stupid not to.
Shit is classic.
All right. For me, I'm probably gonna at least start to try and main Batman. He's who I played in Injustice 1 when it first came out, as well as the demo. He's the one I had the most fun with. Obviously, later on when we went back to Injustice 1 temp, I tried Catwoman. When the game actually comes out, I doubt I'll stick with Batman, just because I like to try and mix it up with a little bit more exotic characters that I can't play in other games. Plus, Batman's fun to me, but like I said, I kind of want to play other favorite characters. I've played Batman in the Arkham games and all that. I don't really need to play him here. But with that said, in the beta, I will be trying to main Batman, but I will try Supergirl, and if she appeals to me, much like Katana, really, I started attached to Katana. If I really really enjoy Supergirl's gameplay and get a hang of it, then I may stick with her for the beta purposes. Don't know about full game. I doubt full game I'd go with her, especially, if like a Fate or even Poison Ivy turn out really well in the game. I'm definitely going to gravitate towards them over Power Girl even. But yeah, just for beta purposes, I will give Supergirl a go. So Tim,
I
that
guess.
leaves you.
Well, I mean, I'm partially in that boat. The Supergirl definitely is my first choice. But I'm sort of the opposite. I don't want to mix it up. I was very much ready to use Shazam again. And the fact every time I look up, I see another reason the leak list might be true. And like when it comes to Shazam, I don't say it much. I don't really fangasm over the character too much, but like his absence is leaving me with like Harambe levels of sadness. I really do love that gameplay style, and that's why I don't talk about it, because it's not really the character I'm in love with. Although I do like Billy Batson as a character. I think he's really interesting. But God, Shazam gameplay was so sick. I love that gameplay philosophy. Like the YOLO grappler with full screen tools. It was just, oh God, he was so tight. I loved him. So oh God, I'm gonna miss Shazam so much.
Can I interject?
Yes,
real quick?
absolutely. Sure.
Okay, so you love Shazam, right? You really loved his gameplay and all of that. Well, how about in MKX when you were super excited to play Shinnok, you wanted to play Smoke, you ended up playing Sub-Zero. So
That's true.
and
yeah.
you had a blast with Sub-Zero. You ended up loving the game because of your fun with Sub-Zero. And granted, Sub-Zero is one of your favorite characters in MK in general anyways. You were just looking for any excuse to play him at that point, so you got that excuse. You tried him out. You ended up loving it, and here you are, better for it. So you didn't just play a character just because you really wanted to play that character. You played a character that you just felt was a lot of fun. And yeah, maybe you would have gotten that again with Shazam. But say maybe there's a character on the roster that comes around this time. Maybe Blue Beetle for some reason has a turnaround. Maybe other characters that are yet to be announced appeal to you character-wise. Maybe Spectre makes... You know what I mean. Just somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a character you have really no interest in playing, but you just find their gameplay so fun. So there is something to be said for branching out and trying somebody new that you weren't expecting to main going into the game. But once you actually played them, then they became a lot of fun for you and a new favorite in that regard. So, I mean, it's not complete. I just hope you're not completely down just because Shazam may not be.
You never know who you're gonna main.
It's true.
There's
I didn't
nothing
expect
like slamming
Katana,
bitches, you know.
but now
Like,
she's one
there's
of my
nothing
favorites. So
I really thought that once like Triborg came out, I would find myself gravitating more towards him/them rather than Melina. Didn't happen. Didn't feel it.
yeah,
Don't know what it was. Sector was my guy in 9. Meh.
there you go. I mean,
Yeah, I
new
mean,
game,
yeah.
new territory, new fun to be had with whole new style. I do not regret playing Katana. The only thing I regret about MKX isn't even like Cyrax or anything like that. I regret that Kenshi wasn't more to my liking style-wise than I was hoping for, because I was really looking forward to that game where I'd play Kenshi. Playing Kenshi for like the last 2 months of MK9 to me did not meet my fill. So that's the only disappointment there, but I do not regret for a second maining Katana and MKX. Katana is a ton of fun, and now she's easily one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise because of that reason. So I always like kind of finding a reason to love a character that's always been there to me, but never been a character that I've really loved. Now I can honestly say she's neck and neck with Cyrax in terms of favorite characters because I had so much fun with her in MKX.
So, no, absolutely. No, I hear you. And I mean, who knows? Maybe in like 6 months, we'll all be Scarecrow mains. We don't know. You know.
I would like to invest some time in Scarecrow. That sounds like a lot of fun to me, no matter how he plays.
I'm certainly interested.
I hope he's a fucking turtle. I want him to be a turtle.
I want him to be the zoning douche Kenshi like from MK9, just because that sounds like a lot of fun. Like, yeah, come at me, and now you have beetles all over you. Yeah. Just random scythes coming out of the ground everywhere. There's your dead parents right in front of you. Enjoy. Like, that to me would be so fucking awesome.
It'd be crazy if that's his super, but he can't change it. He has to show everyone Batman's dead parents.
Covered in dead
Poison
parents.
Ivy has to look at his dead parents.
Covered in dead parents.
Get them off me!
Dead parents.
Get them away from me!
My parents are dead! Get them off of me!
To be fair, there is one character other than Batman who that would actually freak out. Superman would just be going, "Why did you say that name?"
Martha.
Just see the grave with Martha on it. Fucking.
But anyways, continue.
But in short, yes, Boob Window. Power Girl is, I think, a really fun character to me. I really don't know much about Power Girl. I just like the design, you know.
Power Girl is going to be a Supergirl skin.
Yeah.
On it.
I mean,
it's already confirmed.
What she is.
Yeah.
It's confirmed?
Yes.
All right. That's how much
they confirmed 3. What do they call them?
Premier skins.
Premier skins,
which are their own characters, but they're skins, and it's Reverse Flash for Flash, Power Girl for Supergirl, and Jon Stewart for Green Lantern.
They play, as far as we know, they play the same, but they have their own voice acting, they have their own skin, and they have their own intro or something like that. I don't remember what else.
Own dialogue for sure.
Own dialogue. There you go.
Yeah, it's dialogue, voice actor, and their own skin. And I assume that skin will have a whole set of gear to itself.
One can only hope. You can't cover the window. Those windows need no drapes. Damn it.
I mean, that's the whole character, really. You need the window.
When I say I like the character design, I'm not just talking about ass titties. Like, it's, I mean, I'm sure maybe that's part of it, but like, it's just a sleek design. It really works well.
It is a nicer design than Supergirl usually has.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. It's not all about the window. You also have the window.
A lot of it is the window, yes.
No, she's very, design-wise, she reminds me a lot of Miss Marvel, like, outfit-wise. It's just, she's got the window.
Yeah, her color scheme is better spread over her body. Like, the whole white bodysuit, and then the gloves and boots are blue, and the cape is red.
Yeah, it looks very cool.
It looks better than blue top, red skirt.
Yeah,
I do want to say that one of the main reasons I want to use Supergirl is her neutral game looks really cool and very, very safe neutral. But Sonic Fox said that when he played her, she reminded him of Cassie, and that made me throw up my mouth a bit. So I need to make sure that's not a thing, because all this goes down the shitter if she feels like Cassie to me. Fuck all that. But yeah.
Who the fuck knows nothing, anyways?
He's been to a few tournaments.
He's a nobody.
Is he even a legal adult?
Yeah,
I think he just turned 18.
I'm not even sure who we're talking about. I'm assuming Sonic Fox, but I don't even know if I heard the name.
Yeah, so Supergirl, very excited.
All right. Was there anything else you guys wanted to cover? Because that about does it for episode 50. So, hopefully...
Atrocitus still looks like garbage.
But his cat looks legit. Dexter looks awesome.
So, Redman, that is one thing I didn't hear an answer on. Can you take off all that, like, random bulkiness of Atrocitus? Is he actually thinner once you get all that crap off, or is that his base?
He has a base design, and you cannot remove that, but you can make him fatter if you wanted to.
So wait.
He starts fat and gets fatter from there.
Whoa. So wait. The one that we see in the bio is his base?
Pretty much, yeah. I think
That final form, why does it start there?
And
It's
not
like,
in that good Dragon Ball way either.
it's like
fuck
level
what you
50.
want.
Okay. I was really, yeah, who knows? Maybe there's like a D gear system where you can like a piece of gear eliminates part of his like base form. I don't know. I was really hoping for just like a pure
That's-
Red Lantern skin for him.
That's
but-
what the whole roster needs, and you know you're not gonna get it.
All right.
Dude, you know what he fucking looks like to me? It looks like fucking like Gozer turned him into one of those dogs, and the dog turned to stone, and he just started breaking him out, but he only got like halfway through
No.
it. That's what he fucking looks like to me.
No. You know, he looks exactly.
It goes from angry red potato to the dude from Legend in 0.5.
No,
Oh, Vex.
no, you're all wrong. He
Sorry.
is Satan from South Park. Saddam, stop it, Saddam. Why do you always do this?
Satan!
He's so big and bulky, just like Satan from South Park. He's just all chest, barrel
They
chest.
basically, it's
Oh,
a lot
God.
of Tim Curry from Legend. Like a lot of that stacked in there as
There you
well.
go.
They took all the Tim Curry out of Wonder Woman and put it right into Atrocitus.
See, that's that would actually be a way to get Kyle Rayner into a game. You take Kyle Rayner from the brief period where Parallax possessed him, and like you totally give him the South Park Saddam Hussein voice. Hey, Atrocitus! Oh, Parallax, not now. I'm not in the mood.
Come on.
Kick back a little bit, guy. Relax. Put your feet up. Come on, buddy.
Don't you want to fuck me? Come on. Let me love up on. Okay, we need to stop now. Okay, that does it for episode 50. We'll be back with episode 51 next week, where hopefully we'll all have plenty of time with the beta by that point. Here's
Bet
hoping.
not.
And maybe a little bit more news. I think the next character reveal isn't for another week or so, week and a half. So yeah,
They announced it?
it was 20 days on a timer on their website. Let's see if I can pull that
I
up.
think they removed that shortly after.
What?
It was just counting down to another timer anyway.
It was counting down to 20 days, but I guess that's gone now. 'Cause it's
Yeah,
just
it-
zero. Everything's zero. Whatever. Either way.
In 20 days, there was going to be another timer.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. So, anyways, episode 51 next week. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I'm Black Cyborg. You guys have a good one.
Take care.
Remember. Okay.
What does that mean?